It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
This is the Chief with the Dice Tower, and today we're going to talk about Strike of the Eagle. This is it's kind of overtitle as Fog of War. There's going to basically be a series on this, and I know they've already talked about the next one being in the desert with Rommel. But let's talk about Strike of the Eagle. First of all, it's an Academy Games family, so it's not part of Conflict of Heroes, but it has the same attention to detail in terms of the quality bits, the design, even the artwork. It's just great. Box as well, bits are good. We're going to go ahead and take a closer look, but real quick before I do that, let me just show you some of what I'm talking about. First of all, it comes with a real nice insert, but it won't fit. If I have any complaint at all, and this really isn't a complaint, this insert had to go because there's so much good in here that it wouldn't fit. First of all, some cards. We're going to take a closer look at these and the look. Tons of blocks. These are the Russians. These are the Poles. Little helper aids that are wonderful. The rules, historical context, and my favorite thing, and this is why I wanted to do a little bit of an unboxing before we get into the detail. Look how massive, if I can get it out, how massive this map is. The thickness of it. Look how thick this is. Alright? And I'll give you the dimensions in the closer up. Let me show you. This thing, I have a big table. This thing about dwarfs my table. I mean, check this out. Look at this. And it's gorgeous. I can't even, I mean, it's unwieldy. Alright? This thing's huge. And it's gorgeous. And one reason it was held up, because I was actually anticipating this game for quite some time, even though it was a brand new system to me. It was ready to go, and apparently along the fold lines, the paint or whatever, the ink was chipping off and leaving white lines. And Mr. Eichert said no and sent it back and have him redo them all. That's what I'm talking about. Great quality. So now that I've messed everything up, let's go in and take a closer look. All right, our closer look, I'm zoomed in on a portion of the map just to kind of show you what we've got going on here. This little symbol shows that this city is actually fortified. You get a bonus in combat. Railroads do matter, and then you can only attack into cities down roads. So you do have to worry a lot about being flanked in this game and keeping your supply line intact, or your units at least in supply. I'll zoom back out a little bit. You can see I've actually, the map is so huge, I'm only using a portion of it, and I'm basically going to use it as a backdrop just for some of the pieces. What you're going to see right off the bat is these two here are red, and they represent what are called forced marches. Infantry units can move basically one space, and cavalry can move two. If you do a forced march, it just adds one to both of those. And if you can see the arrows a little bit different visually, and I'll hold these up closer to the camera in a second, than these two movement orders down here, which basically only have like one little arrowhead on them, where these have doubles. Just to remind you that those are forced marches. Allows you to move your troops, but then it limits some of their combat ability. Let me bring these two markers up, because these are key. If I can get them into focus. You'll see one of these has arrows pointing out, and the other one has arrows all pointing in. When you place your orders, there's a turn order phase. It basically goes where you can play a card for, you always get two orders. You can play a card that's in your hand for additional orders, or you can play it for an historical event. After you do that, you then go into your placing your orders phase, which allows you to place these little circles. You actually place them this side down so nobody knows exactly what you're placing. but you place your orders in different cities. If you place this order inside a city, it means any unit that can reach that city can, if you choose to, move into it. If you place this order, you're going to want to place it on a city where you already have units, because it means the units that are inside that city can move in any direction. So you're already starting to see that if I went and placed this on top of an enemy unit, I could move several units from neighboring or adjacent cities into his city and threaten him. The problem might be every hand or every turn you have this little eye, which means a recon. Well, I might just be placing the recon into an area just to see what's in there before I attack. But my opponent doesn't know if I'm placing in a recon or if I'm actually placing in a move order, which could start some combat. There is a influence tracking chart, and whichever unit has the most, not influence, but initiative, they can actually dictate that the other person goes first. They control if they go first or the other person. But you're not necessarily getting the guy to tip his hand too much, because he might be trying to bluff you with his orders, since they're all laid down this way. So there's a lot of misdirection you can do with these orders. Let me show you a couple more up close. You've got this little deal here, shows that you're reinforcing a unit inside a city, so it would make it even harder if you attacked it. And this is a retreat marker, which would allow you to get out of that city if the enemy moves in. So you can see just in these orders, there's actually so many things you can do. The problem is, on your turn, you only get 2 orders to start off with. You get the recon and 1 additional order. Now, let me zoom back out. You've kind of seen enough of these. So let me show you these cards real quick, because the next phase is going to be the cards. These cards do multiple things. You have a set of cards in your hand. I mentioned that you can play a historical event right at the beginning of your turn. It's got text on it, and it'll tell you whatever it does. Neat. I love the historical aspect, and it allows you to bend the rules or get certain advantages or whatever, depending on what it is. But this number here, if you play it, allows you to get additional orders. So you would start with 2, but if you'd played this card, you're going to get another 2 orders for a total of 4. So you got to play a card out of your hand, but it's going to up the amount of orders you can give to multiple units. Later on in combat, which I'll talk about a little bit, this number assists you in combat. And down in this area, these have to do with resource cubes and or reinforcement cubes. Allows you to kind of repair units that have been damaged in combat. And you can see these differ slightly on what they do and what they have. So sometimes they'll have a 0 in this column. I didn't preset these cards up, but the values are sometimes greatly different, and you might have a great historical event, but you may need it for your orders. By the way, the cards, you can't see it, I know with my camera, it's kind of a nice linen finish. The artwork is gorgeous. The Polish cards have the blue background with the Polish symbol, and the Russian cards the red background with the Russian symbol. So cards are simply gorgeous. The way turn order actually progresses is, I've already explained you that you're going to get basically some new reinforcement blocks if it calls for it. That's the next phase, is you can play one of these cards down for either additional orders or the historical event. You then will place your individual orders onto the map, as I described earlier, different cities, in order to allow your guys or your units to move around. You'll then execute those orders. I won't get into the minutiae of that, but there's a hierarchy of kind of how you do that. And then after that, you go ahead and resolve your battles. Battles are very interesting. Real quick, I'll just show you the unit, and then we're going to move on. This is your block. I've got a Russian one and a Polish one. I've got it displayed with the heaviest strength or full strength side with 4 blocks. If this unit moved into a city with this unit, it would be basically 4 strength points or SPs against 4 strength points or SPs. As you take hits, you actually rotate your block around, and now it becomes 3, 2, 1, and it could eventually be completely removed. If you have multiple units, you can spread damage amongst your different units. So you're weakening them overall, but you're not totally losing a unit. The way combat works just in general, I'll show you. There's this cool little chart. I won't go into the details, heavy details, but basically you're going to total up all your strength points, which can have everything from your units to you must draw one of those cards and you can either play one from your hand or you draw one blindly and it adds strength points to the battle. You then see where you're at on this. If I had 7 strength points, he's going to lose 2 units, but if he'd ended up with between 13 and 17, then I'm going to lose 4. So you can see how combat goes just roughly. I won't get into a lot of detail, but that's how it works. Very easy to teach, very easy to play. Very hard to master, I'm finding out. In final review, I like this because it really, really brings you the fog of war in a war game. I love small tactical stuff, and this isn't small tactical. It's a little bit grander, regiments and divisions for those that care. But one thing that's always been lost, unless you're playing on a computer, is that fog of war of what unit's over there, or what's the strength of the unit, or I know he attacked me with this, but then he moved the units back and they're in this city or this city, and the playing of the orders and how that's played out. I already covered that, but I just got to say, adding fog of war as the family of this type of game is perfect, because that's exactly what this is. And if you're looking for a war game that you don't really necessarily know what the guy's doing or the opponent's doing, this is it. Go out and get it. It's almost a little chaotic. I'm used to my war games having kind of, everything's known, which isn't true. I was in the Army. I was a low-level guy, so I wasn't at high strategic level. But you don't know what's on the other side of that hill or what's in that town. You have a general bit of knowledge, but you don't know everything. So very cool. This captures that. If you like that, you'll like this. If you like everything to be known, this will probably be a little chaotic to you, but I love this. And war gamers definitely go out and give it a shot. And I actually think even people that like lighter stuff like Memoir 44 and things will like this. It's a block game, but it's just really cool. It's really fresh. So that's it, guys. See ya. Bye.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Yeah?